Okay, here we go.
There's one misconception that gets under my skin, is that when people say horseback riding is nothing but someone sitting on the horse and letting the horse do all the work. Today, I want to review for you a few different disciplines of horseback riding. Many people have a misconception of what horseback riding really entails and the different disciplines that it's divided into. I will explain to you today a little bit about three of the most popular styles of riding: English, Western, and saddle seat. One of them each have different origins. They have their own different equipment, and they all have completely different styles of riding. The first style of riding I will talk to you about today is Western riding. Western riding is said to originate in America, said to have originated around 1770 on the early ranches. The equipment used was influenced by the early Spanish cowboys. Cowboys spent a lot of time on their horses, so they needed a saddle that's going to be comfortable, but still functional, that they can use to get their work done. According to Equine Sports webpage, History of Western Riding, the stirrup leathers are longer so the cowboys could fully extend his leg when riding all day. The stirrups themselves are larger to support the feet, to better support the foot. The horn on the Western saddle is used to tie cattle to. These are examples of how the Western saddle influenced the riding styles of today. Another characteristic of Western riding is neck reining. Is where they just place the reins right over the horse's neck, and the horse will move in the direction that they want the horse to go. As neck reining became more popular, they started holding competitions, which a horse and rider must perform a complex pattern with fast, large circles and slow, small circles, sliding stops, rollbacks, spins, all with the cues to the horse being invisible to the rider. Other competitions held in Western riding are cutting, Western cow horse, and Western pleasure. These are all done with cattle, and they are judged on how easily the horse is maneuvered and how easily the horse maneuvers the cow. Now let's look at another style of riding called English. Hunter is another style of riding, also called hunt seat or English, more generally. It is popular most in North America, in shows and riding. It is characterized by a lighter weight saddle that is in close contact with the horse's body to allow for control and more of a forward seat. English originated from fox hunting and can be shown over jumps or flat on the ground. A traditional outfit of riding pants, knee-high boots, a velvet cap or helmet, a button-down blouse, and a hunt coat are always used. Hunt seat is also shown in dressage and jumping competitions. According to Susan Davis's article, English Equestrian History and Riding, developed in England, the English equestrian riding style was taken to America as estimated as far back as the 1800s. Always considered proper, the traditional English horseback riding technique involves specific communication between the horse and the rider. For example, the rider must control each of the horse's movements by using reins in combination with the rider's legs. English riding is all about control, and in competition, the horse is judged on movement, manners, and conformation. Such control is needed in a wooded area where things can easily just jump out and scare the horses, and they have to look like they are ready to go out and hunt a fox at any time. The last type of riding I will discuss to you is country. Country is an exaggerated division of English, also called saddle seat. According to Wikipedia, the first influence was the plantation of the American South, where the smooth-riding, high-stepping horses were used by plantation owners and overseers to travel across the fields. The second influence was European, where a flatter English show saddle was used and developed from the tradition of riders who would often show their flashiest, high-stepping horses by riding them in the city parks on Sundays. Hence, the term park horse is still used today, where the action of the horse is of paramount importance. The saddle, I have a video of a park horse.
my map.
Alright. The saddle is flat against the horse's back with the stirrups lengthened to contend with the horse's lengthened stride. In the show, the horse is judged on manners, performance, quality, and conformation. The gait of the horse in this discipline is more lengthened and exaggerated. The knee, so the horse come up far behind their shoulders and almost up to their head. The headset is also much higher than in Western or English. Saddle seat is designed to show off the high trotting action that certain horses breeds can show. The most common horse breeds used for this discipline are half Arabs and American saddlebreds because of their superior athletic ability and long legs. There are 3 levels of saddle seat. There's country, English pleasure, and then finally park, which has the most dramatic movements. This, in my opinion, is the most fun to watch out of all the horses' disciplines. In closing, there are many different ways you can ride a horse, but none of which just involves sitting there. From catching your dinner to making a fashion statement, you can do it all on the back of a horse. I hope I've opened your eyes to some of the different aspects of horseback riding.
He's fine.
Yeah, he did good. Thank you. I know, I thought about wearing a saddle. It's so heavy. And my mom would never let me.
How we brought it here and things like that. I think it'll be a good option. Is there a course on how to reach the
Yeah, that's the one I haven't been able to take.
I tell you, I swear. Machines? Hey, nice.
Oh, excuse me.
You thought about it? Yeah. You went back to it. So that was a good tip.
All right.
Screwed up.
Hannah, I like the opening. It's pretty clear what your goal is. You got a forceful opinion here. There's a solid preview, so we know what the structure is going to be. All the content stuff is good, so that's not something to worry about. Remember, this assignment, we're mostly looking at the delivery aspects of the speech, and you have several things that you do pretty well, and then a couple of things that you need to work on. You project your voice well. There's good variety in your voice when you're speaking. It's always clear when you're talking to us, so I think that comes across pretty well. Your facial expressions usually look animated when you're talking to us, but there's a little bit of inconsistency there. Same thing with your eye contact. When you look at us, you're doing fine, but you're not always looking at us. And when you watch back, you're going to notice a couple of things. You're going to say, that looks kind of awkward. You've got your hands down at your sides, palms out like this a lot of the time. It's like, I'm here, I'm talking. And it looks kind of awkward that you're doing that the whole time. You have notes in your hands, and there are a whole bunch of times when instead of putting the notes up and just looking down while you're looking at them, you keep the notes down at the side and you're basically reading the notes from, looking down at your notes like that, and that's really awkward. That looks very strange, and it takes you out of the speech entirely. So if you're going to use notes, you got to practice using the notes, and you got to remember that your goal is still to try and keep your focus on the audience. And even if you have to take your eye contact away from the audience occasionally to look at the notes, what you don't want to be doing is turning sideways, dropping your head, and looking away from the audience while you're doing that, because that feels awkward while we're watching you go through that process. Let's see. I'm hearing some criticism over here about your visuals and the way they were put. I thought they came out fine. Was there something missing? Did something get left out?
No.
Everything went okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so, somebody's just taking a cheap shot at your assistant here. Because I think you handled it all. When the video came up and that was the way it was, there wasn't really anything to go back for except that last picture, and it seemed like that didn't come up exactly when you wanted. He figured that out and got it in there. That was maybe the only thing, but that would have been something you'd have taken care of, I'm sure, had you had the mouse available. He's just, he might be mouse sized, but he is not really mouse friendly, apparently. Okay. Thank you very much.